So first, let's cover our agenda for today and the topics that we'll be covering there. First, I will talk a little bit about how you should choose your license, or the best or easiest way for you to choose your license there, and the different licensing options that we have. Then I will very briefly talk about Hardkey versus SoftKey. That's a request that I got from some of you guys. I think a lot of these is more of my personal opinion on the differences and benefits between the two. If you see other benefits or problems, feel free to participate and post those on the chat. And the other thing, we're going to talk about the license server, and that's something that we introduced with version 7.1. After that, we're going to talk about how to transfer license, and then we're going to talk about web activation. So those are the topics for today. Okay, so let's get started then. When we talk about choosing the license, the first thing that you need to think of is about the platforms. You know, how are you going to manage the different platforms there, and which platform do you want for your application? And InduSoft offers products targeted to 3 types of platforms today. The first product is the InduSoft Web Studio. So that's pretty much the product that you use to develop your applications, as well as to run most of them. The product runs on all these different operating systems: Windows XP, XP Embedded, Vista, Windows 7, and all the different flavors there. Then we have the embedded view. The embedded view is targeted to embedded operating systems, and usually you're going to pick the embedded view. It doesn't run on a regular Windows 7 or Windows 8, so if you put it there, it's going to give you a message saying this runtime is targeted only for embedded versions. So you do have to have the embedded version of the Microsoft operating system. And it has some limitations in terms of functionality that I'm going to talk to you about in the next slide. And then we have the CE view. The CE view is the embedded view version, and it actually came before embedded view. Embedded view is pretty recent. We added with version 7. The CE view is our runtime for Windows CE, and it runs on a very small footprint on that operating system, and it's very, very powerful. Our embedded offerings are really great, especially if you're competing against the proprietary HMI panels, because at a very low price point, you get all the functionalities of a SCADA fully featured inside the little HMI. So you can use databases, you can use Windows, you can use the web capability, and everything within a very small device, maybe working as a web server for you in a remote location or in an HMI panel in front of a machine. So that solution is, and you get all the trending, the alarms, all these capabilities, OEE, that you can develop with your InduSoft application for these small platforms there. But now that you know the different platforms that we have, and before we go and discuss the differences between them, it's important to mention this concept that InduSoft has of deploy once and develop once and deploy everywhere. So even though we have the different runtimes for the different platforms, the development environment is always the same. It limits the capabilities that you cannot use on the different platforms. However, it's the same experience. So you can develop your huge scale application for a control room in the same environment that you would use to develop a small Windows CE application for your HMI. So the learning curve is very small. And why is it important to mention that? It is important to mention that because there is another license component. After you decided, okay, I need these platforms, then which licenses do I actually need for that platform? If you are using the InduSoft Web Studio, the InduSoft Web Studio will come with a development license. It has a runtime license, so you see the development license on the top, and then right on the opposite side, on the bottom, you see the runtime only. So you can have an InduSoft Web Studio runtime only, or you can have it development only. If your target is an embedded device, you still need an InduSoft Web Studio development only, because that's the license you purchase to develop your application, the license for your development environment. On the other side, you see that InduSoft Web Studio can also have a mix of development and runtime, and of course you can have both licenses for the same target station. And the way this usually works when people are having like redundancy stations or on a control room, they usually have like 6 or 7 computers, and they have runtime licenses for, let's say, like for 6 computers, they have runtime licenses for 4 of them, and then 1 or 2 they put the development license. So those with the development license will allow them to edit, make changes in the application, and deploy this application to the other units. All right, I already got questions here. I got a question about a temporary license. I'm going to get back to that question when we talk about license transfer. Okay, so let's go there to the next slide. Okay, so then what are the differences for these different platforms that we offer? Well, here I created a small table with the features and how these features are mapped to the different platforms. Development. I mean, you always use the InduSoft Web Studio as your development environment, so it pretty much doesn't apply for embedded view and CE view. Those are just runtime engines that will be running on your target operating system. So when you're developing on a proprietary HMI, you usually have a programming software that connects to that panel and sends to it. We have the same approach. Of course, we have an emulator that you can run your application before you deploy it to your embedded device, but you can go and send it to your embedded device and run it. So that's a great functionality there. And, of course, it doesn't make sense for you to be developing your application in your little panel there. We have a little agent that you put on the panel called Remote Agent that allows you to send the application to the remote host. Now, multi-touch support. So the InduSoft Web Studio is fully featured in terms of multi-touch. All the capabilities in the product are available. And when you go to embedded view and CE view, they do not support zoom and pan. So those two are not supported. Enhanced graphics. The InduSoft Web Studio introduced the enhanced graphics. Recently we have improved that on version 7.1, applying anti-aliasing and things like that. Those features are not enabled for embedded view and CE view. And it makes sense when you think about it, because usually the applications with embedded view or CE view, they cannot require too much processing. So if we allow you to do heavy graphics on those devices, the user experience is usually not going to be very good. So that's why we also limit those capabilities. SSL email. That's available in InduSoft Web Studio and WebView, but it's not available on CE view. So for those not familiar with SSL, Socket Secure Layer, that's a way that you can use to send encrypted emails. That's not available with the CE view solution. Now let me just see if I can get here to some of the questions that people are asking. So there was a question, temporary license transfer. Is there any thought being given to be able to do a temporary engineering transfer to the runtime? Many customers only allow the main server to connect. I think you like the license server that I will talk about later, where you can have your license and then you can switch local and remote. So I think that will help to solve that problem. The other question, is there an emulator to test non-embedded CE applications? Example, can you test your application without a runtime license? Yes, definitely. The development license allows you to run the runtime for 72 consecutive hours. So you can test your application without a runtime license. You can buy only the development to do those types of testing. Okay, so continuing here, runtime as a service, or run as a service. That is allowed in InduSoft Web Studio, but it's not supported by embedded view and CE view. And usually, again, those applications, if you have an embedded panel, you want the embedded panel to start and run your application, automatically log on. So, it's different from a server there, where you usually want to run as a service. So that capability is not supported on embedded view and CE view. DDE is also not supported by those two. Not many applications today use DDE. But I think it's important for us to mention that limitation because that's a typical example where we have a limitation on the operating system. One thing that we're working on is to have a target runtime for other operating systems that are not necessarily Microsoft, and you would see in the future that some of these limitations will be applied for those operating systems because they don't support, things that are specific to Microsoft operating systems. License server, that's today supported only by InduSoft Web Studio. And so that's supported only by that version of the product. The other ones, we plan to support it in the future, but right now they don't support the license server. Built-in functions, almost all built-in functions are supported by the embedded view and CE view. If you're familiar with our products, you go into the documentation there, and you'll be able to see if a specific function is supported or not supported. .NET controls. So here somehow, hope you guys can hear me okay now? Oh, okay. That was just an indication here. Okay. Great. So just going back to the built-in functions, you see if you go to our documentation there, that here we have the embedded, indicating if the function is supported on CE view and embedded view. And most of our functions are, right, if you go in our technical reference manual. But if there is some that are specific to the operating system, like some that we have to get some system information, then they will not be supported. So that's another limitation. Then, as I said, the .NET controls, and the footprint is also a big difference. When you're running with the InduSoft Web Studio, InduSoft Web Studio requires 1 gigabyte of hard disk at minimum, and 256 megabytes of RAM to actually run the software. And depending, of course, that's free only for Web Studio, not counting the operating system. Now, when you go to embedded view, the requirements are much lower. You only need 128 megabytes of disk space, and we can run pretty much with 64 megabytes of RAM. Of course, these numbers will change depending on your application size, but most likely, on average, that's what we see with our customers. And when you go to CE, then the requirements are much smaller. 64 megabytes of RAM and of hard disk space left, and only 32 megabytes of RAM. That's pretty much what you need to run the CE view. Again, depending on your application, these requirements might change. You might need to specify more in case your application is very big or very heavy on graphics, but I would say it's a very average number here, at least for what the basic functionality needs. Again, on the features, the mobile access is fully supported by InduSoft Web Studio, and it's not supported today by embedded view and CE view. Actually, embedded view and CE view only supports the tabular version of the mobile access, so it doesn't support everything. And the web team client, that is actually supported by all of the platforms, but when you go to embedded view or CE view, you are limited on the number of sessions that you can actually use, or that you can actually have there. Secure viewers, that's the same thing. So up to 128 on InduSoft Web Studio and up to 8 sessions. Now, one thing that people don't realize is that when they buy our license, it comes with a license for mobile access and web team client. That's built-in into the product. You don't have to buy an additional license if you're using only one. So it's a very good option for you to try that, and people usually love when they try the thin client solution because it's a very easy way for them to access their application remotely. And, you know, it's also something that you don't find in the competition there. If you like and you want to expand, you want to have more people using it, then you have to go and buy the different sessions. Now, difference by tag counts. InduSoft Web Studio today allows up to 10 million tags. And we know some applications that are very close to that upper limit there. We actually received some pressure to increase that number from some of our customers, but that's pretty much the limit for us today. Now, on embedded view and CE view, that limit goes down to 4,000 tags. Of course, on InduSoft Web Studio, you can buy licenses that are much smaller than 4,000 tags there. I'm sorry, 10 million tags. Now, create tags during the runtime. That's supported by InduSoft Web Studio, but it's not supported by embedded view or CE view. And that's also a very interesting feature. With version 7.1, we created built-in functions into the product that you can use to create tags during the runtime. And a lot of customers, especially the ones that are working with machine builders, they are using this capability. Because with that, you can tell the customer, or you can develop this generic application where the customer can configure how many pieces he has in the machine, how many sensors, or any configuration that you might want to add, and you can create the tags automatically. And then also you create the tags, the customer will know how many, which license type he needs. So if you want to develop your application, of course it's more complex, but to be as generic as that, InduSoft Web Studio has that option. And it's not supported by the embedded view and by the CE view. Now, drivers, InduSoft Web Studio, pretty much all drivers are supported. And when you go to embedded view and CE view, it's almost all. If you go into the InduSoft Web Studio development environment and you go into the driver list, you can easily find out if a driver is supported by embedded view or not. So I'm here into the InduSoft Web Studio. I'm going to right-click and select Add Remove Drivers. And then the drivers that are supported by CE view and embedded view, they have the CE between parentheses on them. So if you don't have that for the driver, then it's not supported by CE. So it's a very easy way to know. And you find that the majority of our drivers, or at least the most important ones, like the Onron, the Allen Bradley, the Siemens, those drivers, they have the CE in them. Okay. So that being said, another limitation that we have is OPC UA. So OPC UA is actually supported across all the different platforms, but if you're using CE view, then there's no security. We don't have a built-in security for the OPC UA when you are using CE view. And it also makes some sense to the standpoint that if you're using a CE view, usually, and that's majority of cases where we saw this, your hardware is usually not powerful enough to handle the encryption required there. So that's one of the reasons why we don't have that on CE view right now, or why we didn't make the efforts to make that become available. But let us know if you need this. Let us know, because we might put it in our roadmap in the future. So again, it's a limitation, but not because we want it to be a limitation there. OPCDA. InduSoft Web Studio supports a multi-threaded OPCDA, and this multi-threaded OPCDA is not available on embedded view and CE view. In other words, you do have OPC for data access across all the different products. What the multi-threaded means is that if you're connecting to multiple servers at the same time, and if you use the multi-threaded option, if one server goes down, the other ones will remain working fine. So that's pretty much what it is. So when you are going into the embedded view and the C view, you don't have that capability. So if you're using only one OPC server or two, and they're always online or they're on the same computer, they're not remote, this doesn't matter much. But if you're using an OPC server remotely or for a remote connection, and that connection goes down, it is important for you to have that independency. Then you want to go with InduSoft Web Studio. So there is a question here: is it possible to go to get more than 4,000 tags for embedded view? No. That's today. That's the upper limit. Since I stopped it, let me see here. There is another question with the C server over the internet, if it has gotten any better. We did some enhancements on version 7.1, Service Pack 2, on the overall performance of C server. So it should be working well over the internet. But if you're having problems with that, let us know. In our tests here, it has been working well, and we work with offices like on here in Austin. We have offices in Brazil, Germany, India, and we are able to communicate across these offices and download applications with the C server or the remote agents there. OPC XML. So OPC XML is only supported by InduSoft Web Studio. And actually, I think I missed one on this slide that's not very commonly used, but there is a new spec called OPC.NET. And the OPC.NET is now supported by InduSoft Web Studio, but it's not supported by Embedded View and CE View. Now that you know the limitations of the different platforms, or how you can compare one to another to make your choice there, it's important for you to know the product offerings that we have. And we have product offerings for the InduSoft Web Studio. That's what you see on the left side of this slide. And there we have Light Interface Plus, Local Interface, and so on and so forth. On the right side, you can see the number of tags that we have for that specific license: 150, 300, 1,500, and so on and so forth, plus the number of drivers that come with that specific version. So pretty much that's how you purchase the products, and you see that for the embedded view and for the C view, we only have up to 4,000 tags. Now, it is interesting to notice that even on the lower versions there, if I go back to my slide, that's where I compare the differences. If you buy InduSoft Web Studio, it is possible to customize the number of drivers. So you might buy, let's say, the operator workstation, but you actually need 6 drivers or 8 drivers. You can add the drivers there as needed. So that's also an option in the license itself. Now, once you decided in the license, then you have other add-ons that we sell. We try not to make too many add-ons, because that would make things very complex. We try to make a product that is easy for you to know, oh, I bought this, I'm going to be able to have deploy a solution for my customer, without having to worry much about the different add-ons that are there. And we make it very clear on the development when these items are optional. When you start the runtime, we say, or they're disabled if you try to use them. But pretty much what we have as an add-on today is first our collaboration. So that's pretty much the capability of having source control built in your application and being able to use application lifecycle management with Microsoft Team Foundation Server. And if you use that, you can have more than one person working in the application at the same time, and that's our collaboration option in the license. The next one is the IC and DNP drivers. So those drivers require a special license for them. Then we have the import wizards for PanelMate and Panel Builder. So those two, you can import applications from those two, and for those you need a special license. And we also have a custom number of drivers, so you can add drivers to the license. That's an add-on. OPC XML DA, so the OPC XML and the multi-threaded OPC client, those are also optional on the license. And there are a few things that I didn't mention on this slide, but I want to talk very briefly because I mentioned before. One is the number of mobile access clients, number of secure viewers, and number of WebThing clients. So those are options in the license as well. And we also have an import wizard as well as a special driver that requires a special license from Onroll. So they have this very nice driver that was developed for InduSoft Web Studio that they sell along with the other, the import wizard for the Onroll tags. So you can bring the tags from their CX programmer and use them inside Web Studio. And if you want to do that, then you have to purchase the product from Onroll. Okay, what else? How about if you made the wrong choice? I think that's very important for you to know, because if you're undecided, you don't know how many tags you actually need for your application, and you go and you buy, let's say, a live interface, 300 tags, and you realize that you're going to need 1,000 tags for your project. Well, if you bought a product within a year, we can go and charge you only the price difference between the products, and then you can upgrade to a higher license. If it is over a year, then you have to go to our price list, and there is a different price. But if you are within a year time frame, then you can pretty much upgrade just by the price difference. So if you have a question or you're undecided, you can always go with your low expectation there, and as long as you finish your project within a year, if you decide you need more, you can just add it. Try before you buy. If you download from our website, you have 40 hours of evaluation mode. And if you're using this 40 hours evaluation mode, then and you run out of it by some reason, and you're still not comfortable with the product, please, contact us. We might be able to extend your trial period there for some more time, so you can get confidence. Because we want to make sure that you know what you're purchasing there and that you're successful in your project. And in order to do that, we're going to make our best effort there, because your success is our success. The other thing is get certified. Certified system integrators get free license, special pricing, and more. You can check on our website for more details on that. Hardkey versus Softkey. So what are the advantages that I can list for Hardkey? The first one is portability, right? If you have a Hardkey, you don't have to worry much about making sure your PC is okay. And you can use multiple computers. I use this computer here, but then I go to the customer. I don't want to use my computer or my laptop. I want to use something else. And you can just unplug the Hardkey from one computer and plug on the other one. So that's probably one of the key advantages of the Hardkey. Support for different versions. There are some exceptions there that I'm going to show on the next slide. I think the next slide is going to make those exceptions clear. But for instance, if you bought a Hardkey for version 7.1 and you have both version 7.1 and version 7.0 installed on your computer, you can use either one with the same Hardkey. And that's not the case when you're working with a Softkey. Now, the last prone to hardware failure. Of course, if you're using a Softkey and your PC dies, it is a problem. We usually try to help you, especially if you have, I had this issue that happened with me and my computer crashed and now I need a new license. We try to help you with that because we know these things happen. But with the Hardkey, you don't have to worry about that, and if you have a spare hardware, you put it there, you plug the Hardkey, it's licensed. And support for floating licenses. So I'm going to cover that with the licensing server solution, and you see that especially if you have there your development system there, and several people working with InduSoft Web Studio, you can use a floating license, so people can actually get the license from a server, and for that they have to use Hardkey. So SoftKey, on the other hand, it doesn't have all those advantages, but it has a couple advantages that I see. One is that no additional hardware is required. You know, some people see that as a problem. If they plug a Hardkey into the computer, someone might think that it's just a flash card and take the Hardkey or something like that, and we want to avoid that. So that's an advantage of SoftKey. Support for remote update on embedded devices. When you're using an embedded device, you don't need, of course you can always update your license remotely because you can use remote desktop, connect to your remote system and upgrade the license. But with the embedded SoftKey, you can do it through the C server and the execution environment. Okay, so now let's talk about the Hardkey options. So I tried to create history here based on the past versions of InduSoft Web Studio and the most current ones. And you can see that early from our version 1.0 to version 5.1 plus Service Pack 5, and we moved on up to Service Pack 6, we supported the parallel key from SafeNet, a key called Compact 500. And that key, if you buy that key, you can use that key up to Service Pack 6. I mean, we don't have many people using parallel keys anymore, but I thought it would be relevant to put that information here. Now, later they came with that Hardkey with USB capability as well. So we added the capability to support that USB key up to 6.1 plus Service Pack 6. But then they discontinued the key, and then you can see an overlap between the Sentinel keys there when we migrated to the SafeNet Sentinel key. And for those, we supported both parallel and USB, starting with 6.1 SP5. So if you buy a license, let's say for 7.1, and you get either a parallel or a USB key for 7.1, and you want to use it with 6.1 SP6, you can do that. And that's, of course, for InduSoft Web Studio. Now, CView didn't support Hardkey until version 6.1 SP6. And then it was when we started supporting the Weeble code meter keys. And those keys are supported by CE. That's one of the reasons why we decided to put them in our portfolio or in our licensing offering for you guys. And on 7.0 it was when we released the embedded view. And then everybody or all the different products can work with the Weeble key. Now the Weeble key not only works with all these different platforms, but it also has these different form factors. It has a small USB. It has options to come with flash memory. So if you want to put your application in it, you can do it. You can keep the entire application. It supports our licensed server solution. That only works with the Weeble key. I'm going to cover that in the next slides. And you can have an SD card, micro SD, or CS card. So if you're using Windows CE, that, you know, a lot of Windows CE devices support CS card as their memory there. They have these industrial grade CS cards that can keep your application and everything along with your license. So you can have spare hardware just with a key there that you can go and plug. So that's very useful. So license server. So let's explain what the license server is. With version 7.1, and that's only for version 7.1 and newer, we added this capability to have a license server, which pretty much allows a floating license within the InduSoft Web Studio. So you can go and configure one computer on your network to be your license server. You plug your key to that license server. The key needs to be license server enabled, so there is a fee that you pay in order to get the license server enabled. And once you do that, you can configure your stations to use the license server license. And in the options that you have, especially to answer that option of, oh, I want to have a development license when I need, I think this is a very good solution because you can put your development license on the license server and you can change the license on your configuration. And you do have options to say, oh, pick first the local license, but then if you don't find it, go to the server. Or pick first the server license, but if you don't find it in the server, then use the local license. So those options are there. And the cool thing about this is it works not only on your local network, but also over the internet. So if you want to configure this over the internet, it will also work. You put the IP address, and you are able to establish a connection and use the license over the internet. Now, going with the floating license, there is or what we call license server. The first thing is what is required on the server computer. So the server is any computer with InduSoft Web Studio installed and a key with a floating license. If you do not want to install InduSoft Web Studio by any reason, I don't know, you have a very low-end virtual machine that you are maintaining for this, you can simply install the code meter runtime on that computer, and that should be enough for us to get the license from it. Now, what are the capabilities with the license server? It enables floating license, so the same license can be shared between engineers and developers. So you have a license there, whoever gets there first will retrieve the license, the next one that gets there will get a failure if the license is not available or is being used by somebody. Enables license over the internet. It's a solution designed for virtualization. If you're using virtual machines and you don't have the direct connection there with USB, you can just put the license on a USB with a Windows server or any server computer there. It can even be a regular XP for that purpose, or Windows 7, Windows 8 computer, which is better since XP is no longer being supported by Microsoft. And that can become your license server, and you can make all your virtual machines point to it. And one Hardkey can have up to 256 licenses. So that's also interesting and very important to mention. If you're using a Hardkey with these licenses, you also need to know about the limitations. And the first one is one that we're working to fix. All licenses have to be of the same type, but you can have multiple servers. So if you want to have, I want to have a server for local interface and I want to have another server for advanced server, you need two different servers. In a single key, all the licenses that are there have to be of the same type. No borrowing license is allowed at the current release. So pretty much the way that this works, when you connect to the server, there is a grace period. So you get the license. If you get disconnected from the server by any reason, then you get a grace period of 1 hour. And after receiving feedback from a lot of people, we're adding an item here to our backlog to increase this to a 24 hours period. So the grace period is reset after the key is connected for 1 hour. So if you get connected to the key or to the server, and you are connected, you got your license, and then you lost the connection, restart counting. And let's say 30 minutes have been passed, and now you get your connection back to the server, right? If that happens, when you make that connection back to the server, then we're going to start another counter that will wait until 1 hour, and after that time has passed, we're going to go and eliminate your grace period. So that is reset. And that's simply to avoid you from connecting, getting a license, disconnect, and then you can use for 1 hour and keep doing the same thing. But we understand we have to increase the grace period there to be 24 hours, especially for people willing to use this for the runtime. Now, we also have a built-in function into the product that allows you to retrieve this grace period. So if you want to say, if you are connected to the server, you can use this function during the runtime and show some sort of warning to the user to say, hey, we lost the connection with the server license, you have to do something. Okay, another topic that we got feedback on that some of you guys would like to talk about is the transferring of soft key. Actually, the way that we designed soft key, we decided not to allow transfer to be an easy thing, especially because with some cloning techniques and things like that, it gets very hard for us to keep control of that. So if you need to transfer your license, we do allow you to transfer your soft key. If you see that you're going to be doing this much, you'd better go with a hard key option, right? But if it's a one-time thing, or you do have to transfer the runtime from one computer to another or something like that, these are the steps that you have to follow. You need to send us your PO and your site code. PO number or NS number. The NS number is a number that comes on the green sticker that you receive with your license, and you just send it to license@indusoft.com, requesting a license transfer. If you don't know your PO or NS number, that's fine. Send us the site code. We might be able to find it here. We don't have control over every single license that we sell, because a lot of our licenses are sold through OEMs and partners. Not all of them share the information, who bought the license and so on and so forth. But some of them do, and for the licenses that we generated directly to you and things like that, we should be able to find them in our database. And once you send us that, you receive a site key from us that will eliminate the license from your current computer. So you're going to lose the license there. And after you receive the site key and you enter it, you just have to send us your updated site code for the same computer so we can confirm the license is no longer there, and send the site code for the new computer. With these two, we will issue a site key to you that licenses your new computer. So those are pretty much the steps that you have to follow in case you need to transfer your soft key license. Now, we are in the process of automating this with what we refer to here internally as our web licensing project. And that project is targeted to Q2 of this year. So pretty soon, maybe end of May or end of June, we are going to make that available to our customers. It's on a testing phase right now, but what that pretty much means is you can purchase your license and you receive an activation code. With this activation code, you can register on our website, and then you specify the site code, and you are going to receive your site key. And then you license your computer. So you don't have to send emails to us, you don't have to send PO number or anything like that. And you only have to enter your activation code and your site code. And license transfer will also be available online. Not sure if on this first release that we're going to be making available in Q2, but we plan to make license transfer online as well. And the cool thing about this is that you can also reissue the license as many times as you want if it is for the same computer. So if you're having a problem, something happened to your computer, you need to reactivate the license, you should be able to do that through this process. And that's very simple. I mean, the way it's going to work is very simple. That's the interface you're going to find in our website. You specify the activation key, the site code, click generate, and then you get the site key to license your software. So that's pretty much the interface on the website. And I don't know, I'm having some lagging here. So let me just make sure as well. So we covered the license server, and I think I showed this to you guys. And just to cover again about the license server, I got some questions here about the floating license. So when you are using the license server, you pretty much install the Hardkey on the computer that will be your server. And for your InduSoft stations, you set your mode to be local network or just network. You specify the IP address of your license server, and the license is retrieved from there. Okay. All right, and going again on the web licensing, so this is going to pretty much be how this is going to work. And I think that's pretty much it. I mean, we're open now for questions and answers. So please feel free to post your questions either on the chat or on the Q&A. Oh, someone asked a question. Is it my birthday today? Yes, today is my birthday. Yeah. How do you know? Okay. All right. Can I use a Hardkey license with Windows CE? Yes. Starting on version 6.1, we support Hardkey for Windows CE, and with the Weeble, you can even have those keys on your CF card, which is also pretty cool. Okay. Question: if I can do something with price of a thin client license? Yeah, unfortunately, I'm the technical guy, but I don't know which problem you're facing there with pricing. I'm gonna just take notes here and see if we can contact you about that. And again, one web session is always sent for free with your license. Okay, the code meter is it purchased from InduSoft, the SD cards and so on, or the license is just transferred to these cards? No, you have to purchase it through us. We're opening to you the technology. We are using a lot of manufacturers there. They put their label to say, oh, this is an InduSoft manufactured key. We are not doing that. We are opening the technology that we are using for you guys, but we have to put our proprietary code in those keys. Otherwise, everybody would be able to generate an InduSoft key. Okay, can we link the app to a particular license server? For instance, we could queue the app on a subscription model if the client discontinued their subscription. You can. Well, especially if you're selling an app, I think it would be easy for you to create a timer for that, and you can use the function get grace period to know if the customer is actually connected to the license server. So to a certain extent, yes, you can do that. There's a question about Weeble keys that you need some technical support. We will contact you on that. You purchased some of those Weeble keys. Some people got frustrated with the Weeble keys because they were using version 6.1 and they expected the Weeble keys to work on that release. Unfortunately, guys, it's very hard for us to add support for that old version. My apologies there. Okay. Yeah, that's a very interesting question here. How about if I'm a distributor yeah, I think that's very interesting. If you're an OEM of us and you don't want your customers to come to our website, we're going to make this license functionality available as a service to you. We want to, of course, make sure that it's working well for our customers and make any enhancements that are necessary when we receive the feedback. But the OEMs should have pretty soon a web service that they can call from their own website without having having to link their customers to our website. Okay. And Joe that asked about the CE support, I will send you an email with some contact information there, and I will also have my contact information so we can make sure we address any problems you might be having there. Another thing, we always have the chat available for technical support. So if you go to our website and access the chat, you're usually going to find someone there to help you with any problems you might be having with the software. Okay, so how will the partners get activation code? In that case, if you're an OEM of us and you want to get the activation code, we're going to send you a list with activation codes that you can use. If you don't want your customers to come to our website, and you want them to be able to use activation. Of course, you don't have to use activation, but if you want them to use activation and you don't want them to come to our website, we can make a web service available to you that you can call to generate the license. So in that case, we'll give you the activation codes for the licenses that you purchase. You can just send those to your customers. In the first release, they can come to our website and license it. If you want to make this little website available on your own page, then you can contact us, and the customer might be able to activate that on their on your own website. Can I use Hardkeys for embedded in CE View? Yes, you can use Hardkeys for embedded in CE View. That's fully supported there. So that's just a license option. You can go and do that. Okay, it's a question about the ONRON driver. Do I have to buy the ONRON driver? You know, the ONRON driver, you can go directly to ONRON to actually go and buy it. You purchase it through them. It uses an API and a technology that they developed. It's actually quite efficient. It's one of the best communication drivers that we have. But you do have to purchase it through them. And if you purchase their driver, of course we have our own driver there, but our driver doesn't support some of the capabilities that the ONRON driver supports, like CIP, event-driven communication. You know, our driver is more pooling-driven, and the driver that ONRON sells has more details. Now, you only have to buy the license through them. We ship the driver with the product. So you don't have to worry about, oh, how do I install, do I get this from different people? No. The only thing is, if you need the ONRON driver, you need to purchase your whole license, the InduSoft Web Studio, and the driver license through ONRON. Moving from 7.1 SP1 to 7.3 SP3 will generate a cost. Okay, yeah, okay, you just corrected there, yeah. It's 7.1 SP3 will generate a cost. No, absolutely not. We never charge when upgrading service packs. We only charge if you upgrade for product version. So if you're going from 7.0 to 7.1, then yes, you need to buy an upgrade. If not, then you don't have to. Oh, okay. So how is the price increasing with the license server? So that's very important. If you have access to our price list, we have if you have 3 licenses, right? You're going to be paying the price for the 3 licenses. It's pretty much the same price as if you had if you bought them separately, right? That's pretty much the same price. Now there is one-time fee, and that's just one fee that you pay to enable the license server. And regardless of how many licenses you put there, you never have to pay that fee again. You just have to pay the fee for the license that you are adding there. What makes it very flexible, you know, if you see most companies that have floating license, they usually charge 3 or 4 times the price of the regular license to make it floating, and we don't do that. It's just a fixed fee to have the server. Can you exchange the big USB key for the small size? Is there a charge? There is a small fee that we charge for processing for that. If you want to use the tiny small USB key that we offer now, so we do charge a fee for that. You can contact us, and you can send an email to license@indusoft.com or info@indusoft.com, and they will give you the details on that. Okay. So if I have runtime with 300 tags and 1 driver, and I want to add only 1 driver, is that possible? For the embedded versions, no. For the InduSoft Web Studio version, maybe. You need to talk to your distributor about that. I would say that capability is enabled into the product to allow you to increase the number of drivers for a specific license for InduSoft Web Studio, but it's not on our price list. So you have to talk to your distributor or your contact salesperson here at InduSoft if you have an opportunity for that. So can I use two hardkeys at the same time? One, for example, one hardkey for runtime and one for development. No, you cannot do that. You either have to have development and runtime all together, or if you have them separate, then you're not going to be able to use both at the same time. Yeah, that's in the price list. Is the int add DRV? That's a good question. I have to go there and check. So it seems that we do have in the price list the information to add drivers. So I just got a salesperson helping me here. There is an entry in the price list for int add DRV. So I think the question for that it should be even in the price list there. So your distributor or salesperson should help you if you get the int add DRV part number, or by using the int add DRV part number. All right, and I think I answered all the questions that I received, and since there is no more questions there, I'm going to end the webinar, and thank you very much for participating on this. I hope this information will help you when purchasing a license for InduSoft Web Studio. Thanks for using our product, and thanks for participating in these webinars. I see that a lot of you, and I mean, I don't do as many of these, but I see some people that are always here. I really appreciate you spending your time to learn our product, and your feedback is very important for us. You're going to receive a survey. Feel free to reach us and let us know your thoughts and how we can get better, or even topics that you would like us to cover on these webinar sessions that might help you with your project, or to grow your business using the InduSoft products. So thank you very much, and you guys have a nice end of the day now. Thank you. Bye.